Fundamentals of Investments in 5 minutes or less. My name is Dr. John Yamunda, and today we are going to do a few questions on correlation. So if you are interested in understanding a bit of the theory of correlation, you have to watch my other video. Today we're just going to do more of questions and not the theory. So, but remember, fundamentally we said correlation is to do with risk reduction. So we said in theory, to minimize risk or to reduce risk, we need to invest in assets with a negative correlation. That is a correlation as close to -1 as possible. That is if we want to minimize risk. So using that theory, we have a question here which says, share A, B, and C each have the expected return and same expected return and standard deviation. The following table shows the correlation between the returns. So we have share A and B plus 9 correlation, share A and C plus 0.1 correlation, share B and C minus 0.4. Given these correlations, the portfolio shares which is the lowest risk is which shares? Is it A and B, A and C, or B and C? Using the theory of correlation which we just spoke about, which one would be the ideal portfolio? I am so proud of you if you said share B and C, simply because those were the two shares with the lowest correlation. Remember, we said to minimize the risk, we need to invest in a portfolio with negative correlation. And the closer the correlation to -1, the better. And share B and C gives us -0.4. But now let's go to the theory. How do we calculate correlation? To calculate the correlation coefficient, it's simply covariance of the two assets divided by standard deviation times the standard deviation of the other asset. Remember, standard deviation is simply the square root of variance. That's important. That's important when we go through these questions. You should remember standard deviation is equal to the square root of variance. Okay. Let's do a question together. Assume the covariance of share M and N is 0.78. The standard deviation of share M is 0.56 and standard deviation of N is 0.9. Calculate the correlation for shares M and N. Well, I think most of you are already excited because all the factors we need are already there, and it's simply plug and play because the covariance is given here 0.78. The standard deviation for M is 0.56. and the standard deviation for N is 0.94. Then when you do the calculation, you get 1.4814. This is not a really good example because the correlation should never be more than 1 or more than 1 or less than -1. But your question in the next slide is perfect. It is everything which is correct. Here you are, this is your question. But I want you to be cognizant or to be aware of one word which might throw you off track. This word called the variance of share A. Variance. Variance is the important word. Pause the video, do your calculation, and look at the answer. Don't just look at the answer, pause the video, do the calculation, and look at the answer. I'm so proud of you if you got 0.01 because you would have said the covariance is given as 3.6. The standard deviation now, remember we said standard deviation is square root, so it will be square root of 3.3856 and the square root of 5.564, which gives us 0.8085, which is closest to option 4. Thank you for joining in today's Fundamentals of Investment in 5 minutes or less.